I'm Pat Scanlon. I'm the coordinator for Smedley Butler Brigade, or Veterans for Peace. And I'd just like to give a few words about our mission and what we're all about. And that's our mission statement. And we have dutifully served our nation. We have dutifully served our nation. Do hereby affirm our greater responsibility to serve the cause of world peace. To this end, we will work with others. A, to increase public awareness of the costs of war. B, to restrain our government from intervening overtly or covertly in the internal affairs of other nations. C, to end the arms race and to reduce and eventually eliminate nuclear weapons. D, to seek justice for veterans and victims of war. E, to abolish war as an instrument of national policy. To achieve these goals, members of Veterans for Peace pledge to use nonviolent means and to maintain an organization that is both democratic and open, with the understanding that all members are trusted to act in the best interest of the group for the larger purpose of world peace. Our namesake, thank you. Our namesake is each chapter, Veterans for Peace, around the country. There's 130 chapters around the country, and we each take a name of someone who stands for peace. And our name is the Smedley Butler Brigade, after General Smedley D. Butler, Major General in the U.S. Marine Corps, 33 years in the service, and many campaigns around the world. And there's a new book coming out called Devil Dog, The Man Who Saved America, about General Smedley Butler. I just want to read you, after 33 years, campaigns all over the world, from China, Nicaragua to Cuba, whatever, he wrote a book called War is a Racket. And this is just a quote out of his book, and this is what we all identify with. War is a racket. It always has been. It is possibly the oldest, easiest, the most profitable, surely the most vicious. It is the only one international in scope. It is the only one in which the profits are reckoned in dollars and the losses in lives. A racket is best described, I believe, as something that is not what it seems to the majority of the people. Only a small inside group knows what it is about. It is conducted for the benefit of the very few at the expense of the very many. Out of war, a few people make huge profits. And another quote just related to that, another part of the book, it says, looking back on it, I might have given Al Capone a few hints. The best he could do was to operate his racket in 3 districts. I operated on 3 continents. Smedley D. Butler. John Schuchard. John is runs the House of Peace in Ipswich, Massachusetts. He's with the Samantha chapter, and I would like to introduce John Schuchard at this moment.
Thank you, Pat. And yes, this is Memorial Day all across the country. Memorial that comes from memory. Frankly, we're living in a country that's suffering total amnesia. So this is important. Memory is important. My understanding is that the day was first called Decoration Day and Remembrance Day when mothers in the South, after the Civil War, went out with bouquets of flowers. You can imagine May is a month of flowers, and they decorated the graves of every mother's sons, north and south, so-called enemy, so-called friend, so-called winner, so-called loser. Every grave was decorated because no mother ever won a war. There are only losers. There's only grief. And women know that. So this day is important as we join our hearts with the grieving mothers' hearts of the Lucys and Arendondos who are with us. That there's no grief like a mother's grief. Or a father's grief, yeah. The grief of a loss of a son whose idealism and trust was misplaced. And those of us from Vietnam know what it is to be lied to and betrayed by your government. Two things stand out today for me, a day of memory. One is grief, and the other is truth. We have to recognize that truth is a moral force, and those who pursue and offer the truth are a moral force, because untruth is a demonic force, and this country is in the grip of a demonic force.
Sorry about that. All right, so I'm going to read an essay written by Howard Zinn. And Howard Zinn's a very important author to me because he was one of the first authors to really challenge me to think differently about war and about my country and the role that my country plays in the world. This essay, it's titled, "Whom Will We Honor Memorial Day?" And it was written in 1976, but I think it's as true today as it was back in 1976. Memorial Day will be celebrated as usual by high-speed collisions of automobiles, bodies strewn on highways, and the sound of ambulance sirens throughout the land. It will also be celebrated by the display of flags, the sound of bugles and drums, by parades and speeches and unthinking applause. It will be celebrated by giant corporations, which make guns, bombs, fighter planes, aircraft carriers, and an endless assortment of military junk in which await the $100 billion in contracts to be approved soon by Congress and the President. Memorial Day will be celebrated, in other words, by the usual betrayal of the dead, the hypocritical patriotism of the politicians and contractors preparing for more wars, more graves to receive more flowers on future Memorial Days.
These two families have paid an enormous price. Arredondos had lost their son Alex, and in Iraq, and the Lucys, their son Jeffrey, had committed suicide after coming back from Iraq and being haunted by the ghost of war. So, Joyce and Kevin?
You prefer soda water or regular water?
We observe this Memorial Day, as we have the last three, here at Boston Harbor, not with flags waving and laughter, but solemnly, honoring those who have died, whether it be from a physical wound in the heat of battle, or the anguish and pain of the hidden wound to the spirit and soul, whether the fallen be military or innocent civilians, caught up in a situation not of their own making. Knowing that war should not be glorified, for when any country chooses that path, it is the heart of the country, young men and women, who fall, leaving behind grieving families to bury their loved ones. We are one of those grieving families. The pain never goes away. The question why never gets answered. We lost our only son to war, not by a bullet or an explosive device, but by a broken spirit. We will live the rest of our lives wondering what we could have done, seeing the dull look in his eye, the sad smile, feeling his hopelessness when I would say things will get better. My son was an intelligent young man with a promising future when he was deployed in January of 2003. He was 21 and in college. He returned to us emotionally and psychologically destroyed, though we didn't realize it at the time. Jeffrey spent 11 months attempting to deal with the demons that he carried with him home. He didn't want us to tell his unit for fear of the stigma that a wound to the heart often carries with it. He called himself a murderer, drank heavily so he could sleep, could no longer attend college, heard camel spiders in his room at night like they had in the desert. The VA healthcare system was not prepared for those coming back with a post-traumatic stress, and I fear it still has a long way to go in that department. It certainly dropped the ball when they discharged him 3 days after admitting him involuntarily. After he admitted he wanted to harm himself and even told them of the 3 methods. This past week I saw a program called War Torn 1861-2010. I saw my son in story after story, the pain, the guilt, the self-loathing, for we are not meant to kill our own kind. As I said many times, war stole my son's innocence and robbed him of his future. And this is happening to some other mom's child as I speak. Another parent who loves their child as much as I did mine. I don't want another family to watch their child slowly dying inside. I don't want another dad to come home and have to cut their son or daughter down from a beam in the cellar as my husband did. Leaving a note that said, "Dad, please don't look, just call the police. Love, Jeff." Let's never have another veteran say to a vet center, "No one cares enough to help." As long as we as a nation remain quiet and complacent, these scenarios will repeat themselves. We need to take a hard look at where we are as a country and what we want it to represent. We must voice our opposition against ever having another war of choice.
Right.
Hello everyone. My name is Aifar Abdul-Jabbar. I am an Iraqi woman. Iraqi women and all Iraqi people have been in the war last 8 years, every hour of every day. Media report carried full technically the news, bombing, violence. The life of the people measure death tolls. At every woman relays how relate to her daily life and see how the Iraqi woman feels about the change her country has undergone over the years. Whether it is estimated that at 1.6 million who left the country, well, some people have escaped the routine of violence, others have chosen to stay, and they were accepting death any moment. The Iraqi woman is brilliant. She is struggle. Iraqi women have suffered a lot from the security situation to the demise of the law and the emergence of gangs and killing. Impossible for an Iraqi to break down, whether it is a man or woman. Our symbol is the palm tree, as tall as it is, as deeper. It is roots under the ground. That's the Iraqi woman. Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Uday Mahmoud. I'm from Iraq. Everybody know that, I hope. In this day, we came to share with you a memory, and we remember our lovers and our friends, and you remember your lovers and your friends too. Every day they are with us, and they don't go away, because we always remember them. I brought their memories with me when I came from Iraq. I didn't leave them there because they were loyal friends. For this reason, we came here to say just 2 words, but they have big meanings. Sorry. These words are: stop killing. Stop killing. Stop killing. We don't want anyone to die. We have lost a lot of lovers, so we can let them stay in peace. Please let them stay in peace. Thank you.
Up here, we could make a line right here, actually right over here. We make a line. What we're going to do is we're going to call out the names of those American soldiers who have lost their lives in both Afghanistan and Iraq. We will ring a bell and we will say presente, which means present. They are present and we are present. And at the conclusion of that, the Iraqis will read some of their names of loved ones. And again, we will say presente and ring a bell and drop a flower into the harbor. So if people could line up, and as each name is called, one person will step up and take a flower and drop it in memory of that individual. All right? Would like to ring the bell. Would like to ring the bell. Pick one and then we ring the bell.
Shay. Jordan M. Shea. Specialist, U.S. Army, Salisbury, Massachusetts.
Presente.
Tyler J. Trahan, Petty Officer, 2nd Class, U.S. Navy, East Freetown, Massachusetts.
Presente.
Jonathan R. Roberge, Private 1st Class, U.S. Army, Leominster, Massachusetts. Presente.
Presente.
Kyle J. Harrington, Sergeant, U.S. Army, Swansea, Mass. Presente.
Presente.
Matthew M. Bellini, Private, 1st Class, U.S. Army, National Guard, Rockland, Mass. Presente. Marquis R. Porter, Sergeant, U.S. Marine, Brighton, Massachusetts. Presente.